Hello, welcome to our online tutorial class. This is the Student Score Booster. Today we shall be taking on one of the important subjects that has cut across all the major exams that we focus on in this school. In economics today, our focus will be on one of the important topics of economics, that is theory of cost. My name is Mutalib Anifowoshi. At the end of today's presentation, we shall be able to appreciate the meaning of cost, be able to explain the different category of cost, or can I say the meaning of different cost of concept of cost vis-a-vis the issue of variable cost, fixed cost, total cost, average cost, and the marginal cost. To start with, it is better for us to quickly look at the overview of cost. That is, what do you understand by cost? Literally, we can define cost as an amount that has to be paid or given up in order to get something. From a technical economic point of view, we can define cost as effort, material, resources, time, utility consumed, risk or opportunity forgone in monetary terms. So this is the way of defining cost from economic point of view. Or we can say cost can be defined as the monetary value of effort, material, resources, time, utility, risk, and the opportunity forgone in order to achieve a target objective or to achieve a target goal. Of course, all the expenses incurred in the course of production are classified as cost. However, not all the costs incurred can be referred to as expenses. We shall know more about this later on. Having understand the meaning of cost, it's also very important for us to understand some basic components, or can I say the concept of cost. I would like to crave your indulgence to concentrate very more around this area, because based on experience, the examiner has always asked questions from this particular area and play around this concept of cost in order to ask questions both from the theory and the objective component of our examination. To start with, we will first of all try to look at the fixed cost. As the name implies, when you say something is fixed, that means that something that remains constant over the period. So we can define this cost as any cost that do not change when with the level of production changes, i.e., it remains constant over a reasonable period or a reasonable range of production. Example of this cost is rent of premises. Another cost that need to be considered is variable cost, and these are costs that change as the level of output also varies or changes. You can quickly look at this vis-a-vis the first item, that this one, the keyword here is that do not change, whereas under the variable cost it does change. And the example of this one is material cost. The next cost is total cost. As the name implies, total means the total cost summarily can be defined as the addition of fixed cost plus the variable cost element. So these are costs of all the resources needed to produce a given level of output, i.e., the total fixed cost plus the total variable cost is what referred to as total cost. Now, before we move on, let me quickly draw your attention to one important thing here, that the total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Now, we said variable cost varies as we produce more. For example, if you produce 0, we are not going to incur variable cost. If you don't produce anything, our variable cost will be equal to 0. However, we will have incur fixed cost. So at this point, when the variable cost is 0, our total cost will equal to the fixed cost. So let's take note of that, please. Can I repeat that? If variable cost is equal to 0, then fixed cost will automatically equal to total cost. So I would like us to take note of this particular formula. Then the next concept of cost is to look at the concept of average cost, and we start from the average fixed cost per unit. As the name implies, average fixed cost per unit means total fixed cost divided by number of units produced, and it can be given as a formula that the total fixed cost divided by Q. Q here is units produced, the number of units produced. We must take note of something also here at this point, that if my fixed cost is assumed to be constant, let's say 1,000 naira, that is my fixed cost, and I produce, let's say, 20 units of a product, I produce 40 units, I produce 50 units, maybe I produce 100 units of product. These are the outputs. So at this output level, I might need to calculate my average fixed cost per unit. Since my fixed cost is assumed to be constant at 1,000 at this point, so when I produce 20, I will have average fixed cost per unit to be equal to 50. When it is 40, I have 1,000 divided by 40. A1 we have 25 per unit. When it is 50 divided by 50, I would have 20, and so on and so forth. So what can we see here? The more output we have, the lower is our average fixed cost, moving from 20 to 20, 50 to 20 to 25 to 20, and continue like that. Even from the next one will be 10. So what that one has to tell us is, as we produce more, as production unit increases, then our average fixed cost gets smaller. So the higher the quantity produced, the lower will be the average fixed cost. And we have done that. Let's take note. Very, very good point, most especially for JAMBs and WAEC students. The next item of cost we are going to consider is average variable cost. The average variable cost is total variable cost divided by number of units produced. Of course, we have already explained that variable cost do changes over as we produce more. So with that, our average variable cost can take three shapes. It can increase, depend on the market condition. It can also decrease, or it can remain constant over the period. So let's take note of that. It might fall, it might rise, and it can also remain constant. It all depends on the market condition. So the next concept of cost we are going to consider is average cost. When we talk about average cost, what we are trying to say is either average total cost or average cost. So take note of that. Examiner can play around that particular words or phrase. They can call it average cost or average total cost. That is the total cost divided by quantity produced. So let's take note of that. And the average total cost made up of two components. We can look at it from the average fixed cost, or we can look at plus average variable cost. I.e., we can also say or average cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost, as we can see here. So all these formulas are very, very important. Then the next item is marginal cost. Marginal cost is an incremental cost. I would say marginal means something increment over the previous one. So the marginal cost is increase in total cost. Please always take note that your marginal cost is calculated from total cost. That is most important in here, please. You determine your marginal cost from total cost. Always take note of that. And from producing one more unit or output. Let me quickly explain this before we move ahead. For instance, maybe last month we produced 100 units of product, and we spend, let's say, 1,000 naira to do so. Now we want to produce let's say we want to produce 101 unit, 101 unit, and we now spend 1,150 naira. So what is marginal cost? The marginal output here is 1. We have increased. So our output, changes in output in quantity, is equal to 1. Then what has happened to cost? Then the change in total cost is also 150. So if you come to the formula here, that is to calculate marginal cost, we have the changes in total cost. You can see here, we have seen it 150 divided by change in output, which is 1. So my marginal cost here will be 150 naira. So let's take note of that also. To summarize this concept of cost in graphical form, let's quickly look at this graph, as it will help us to appreciate the more how these costs react or relate when it comes to the graph. The first thing we must take note here is our fixed cost. Start not from 0, but rather above the 0. The meaning is, before we start anything, we need to incur our fixed cost. Another thing with fixed cost is that our fixed cost remain constant. As we said, it's a cost that do not change as we produce. We didn't produce anything here. We produced 30, we produced 90, we produced 130, 161, 184, and the fixed cost continue remain constant over that particular period. Now it remain constant, and 2, it start not from 0, it assume a figure. Here we can see our fixed cost is 135, for example, as we can see here. Then, however, variable cost, if you look at it here, it starts from origin from 0. This is total variable cost. And we say total variable cost changes as output level changes. At 0, we produce. I told you last time that at the point where variable cost is equal to 0, then the fixed cost will be equal to total cost. And we are going to come to that one later. The fixed cost here, the variable cost at this point is 0, and as we produce more, it increases. As we produce more, it goes up. As we produce more, it continues like that. As we are producing, it will be going up like that. So what we can take from here is the fixed cost remain constant. It does start from not from 0, whereas the variable cost start from 0. At the point when we produce nothing, we might not need to incur the variable cost. However, we might have incurred fixed cost. Now come to total cost. We define total cost as the variable cost plus fixed cost last time. Now, since it's the variable cost plus fixed cost, then we can now see from this graph that our total cost and the fixed cost start from the same point. Why? It starts from a point. They are equal when variable cost is lying on the origin or is from 0 units. So with this, I also trying to re-echo this particular point here. Now, another thing we need to know between variable and the total cost is that both of them increases. So both variable cost and the total cost increases. They increase. The graph move on, and that means that there is a kind of link between these two. Since the fixed element here remain constant, then the variable element here is what makes total cost to also increase. I think we need to appreciate this. Most especially, examiner can ask us to explain these three costs graphically. This is what they want us to do. You draw your graph. Remember, always put your cost or naira value or revenue on the y-axis. Then the unit or the x or the unit of quantity produced will be on x-axis. Then you scale your graph, either 1 centimeter, 1 unit to 5 centimeter, or to 5 units, or you scale. Once you scale your graph, then you draw on your graph sheet, preferably given to you by examiner. Then you explain the way we explain here. Now, the next slide consider the concept of average cost and marginal cost. I would like us to also exercise patience here, especially those students that are doing a jump. This is one of the areas where examiner usually come up from. There are two scenarios we are going to consider briefly, scenario A and B, and we use graph to explain it subsequently. But let me just highlight what we need here so that we can appreciate the concept very well. If you look at it critically here, the point here is when the average cost curve rising, then the marginal cost will always be higher than the average cost. Please look at it. By the time we see the curve, we have seen the marginal cost, the average cost curve the other time in the previous slide. When it's increasing, then it is assumed that at that point the marginal cost is higher, is always higher than the average cost. Let's take note of that. The scenario B is when you see the curve of average cost falling or decline, then the marginal cost is lower than the average cost. So I think we need to understand this point, very important. Please, we use this graph to explain this the more. This is the marginal cost. Here is the average cost. Now this is average cost from here. This is marginal cost. So here is scenario A. Average cost is coming down. If average cost is coming down, you see, then the marginal cost is underneath. This is B. And when average cost is increasing, is going up, then marginal cost is above. This is scenario A. So this is what we just read. That is, when you see the curve of average cost coming down or falling, at that point it is the marginal cost lie below it. But when the graph starts going up again, then the marginal cost is above. I think that is the purpose of this particular graph. So I would like us to look at it. You can pause and echo this particular point. It's very important that we appreciate this. Now let's summarize this cost and the formula we just explained briefly to recap what we've just done. Now we have our fixed cost is here in this column. These are our variable cost. Now the first thing to do is to look at total cost. Remember, total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. So at a point in time, when you add these two together, it gives us this. When you add this one together, it gives us this. When you add this one together, it gives us this. When you add this one together, we have this. So you can see that the total of these two columns, if I name this one A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for example, the column A, here will be equal to B plus C. So let's take note of that. This is total cost, this is fixed cost, and this is variable cost. Now when you come to D is average fixed cost. Can we recollect the formula for average fixed cost? Yes, I know you can still recollect that our average fixed cost is given as total fixed cost divided by quantity, and that's what we are saying. You see here we put nil because the quantity here is 0. By the time I say fixed cost is 3, for example, then the quantity is 0 at that point, and when quantity is 0 at that particular point, then we might not be able to have anything here because it will be infinity. If you press your calculator, it will be 0 divided by 3 divided by 0. That will be infinity. So it happen to other one. Now the second one is 3. Why is it 3? Our fixed cost here is 3 and the output is 1. Well, if 3 divided by 1 is still 3. Here is 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Here is 3 divided by 3 is 1. Here is 3 divided by 4. Like that. What can we observe here? Last time we said the more we produce, the lower will be our average fixed cost. You can see average cost continue decline. As we are producing more, because the fixed cost remain constant, then this one decline gradually. You can see it decline gradually, it decline gradually. So that is to draw your attention back to the point we've raised previously. Then we move to the average variable cost. The average variable cost is also defined as the total variable cost divided by quantity output also. What are we trying to justify here is that if you take your total cost, I've said it before that at the point when we do not produce anything, our variable cost remains 0, and when you say 0 divided by 0 is also 0. So that is the first thing we need to take note of here. The second thing is at the point when our variable cost is 30 kobo, then divided by 1 we have 30 kobo. So when it is 80 kobo divided by 2 we have 40 kobo. So you can see what we have experienced here is that our average variable cost is increasing. We say it can increase, it can remain constant, it can also fall. So the next one is total cost. Average total cost. Average total cost can be, we can have it in two ways, either total cost divided by quantity or average fixed cost plus average variable cost. So if you come here now, this is average fixed cost plus average variable cost, then you get 3.3. If you add these two together, that is column E plus D, it will equal to F. So this continues like that when we have all these costs. Or we can take total cost divided by quantity also. We are going to have the same figure. So finally is to look at the marginal cost. We said marginal cost is gotten from the total cost. We got our marginal cost from total cost. Please note average total cost is from total cost. Please take note of that. It is not from average total cost that we get our marginal cost, rather we got it from the total cost. So and the changes in cost from one unit to another unit over divided by change in output from one to another unit. So here the first one is also mean. Then when you move from 3 to 3.3 total cost, our output move from 0 to 1. Then we have increment here is 30 kobo, then our marginal cost is 30 kobo. So like that. So this is just to recap what we have done previously. Now let's look at a more a kind of exam-like example here. This is how the examiner has been asking this question over the year. Is to give us some the table and pick up some of the items they want us to calculate. If you look at this, we are asked to fill the blank. Blank here, this is blank 1, 2, let's say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We have about 15 blank missing that the examiner wants us to fill. Now, how do we do this? We can do this if we really follow what we have been saying from the first slide of this presentation. By now, we should be able to play around with figure here and be able to get our full mark. This is a bonus question anytime the examiner asks, and it just requires one or two items here. For instance, let's look at the first one, which I called 1, for example, variable cost. What is variable cost? By principle, we say when output is 0, our variable cost is also 0. So here is 0. Okay. So that is the one thing we need to take note of. That is, when we produce nothing, we incur nothing as variable cost. So that is the point. The next item is, from this point also, we can also make a meaning here, because we have a column for fixed cost, total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost. Can you suggest what is missing? There no column for fixed cost. We don't create fixed cost because fixed cost is fixed, it remains constant, so we might not need to put it. That's what examiners they do. Please take note of that. However, we said whenever our total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, we can still recollect that. Then we say when the variable cost is 0, at that point the total cost is equal to fixed cost. What can we make out of this? The first item I circled here is that at this point, when my variable cost is 0, then the total cost is also equal to fixed cost. Therefore, my fixed cost is 50. So fixed cost is 50 in this particular question. So it is 50 and it's going to remain constant over the period, over the range of this output from the 1 to 6. So to come to this point, what will be the point here? Since we variable cost is equal to 10 and we say fixed cost is 50, then the total cost will be 60. That is 10 variable cost plus 50 fixed cost. Then also when you come to this point, average fixed cost. Average fixed cost. What average fixed cost? Average fixed cost is total cost or total fixed cost divided by output. Here is also 50 because our total fixed cost is 50, quantity is 1, so we have 50 here. What of here? Here also we have 50. We are going to have 25. That is 50 divided by 2. Now, if this one is 25, then what will be the fixed cost here? Fixed cost here is also 50 divided by 3. So we have 16.67 naira, like that. So the next item we can do, we need to get to this point and this point. How do we arrive at this point? Now let's quickly come here first, because you have to fill this blank as easy as you can manage to fill it. There's no rule that you have to follow in sequential order, because the examiner always puts some trick there. Now the next thing we are going to do here is to look at the concept here, average variable cost. What's the average variable cost? The average variable cost is total variable cost divided by quantity. So this is my variable cost here, 30. Here I will have 15 as my average variable cost. Now if I have average variable cost here as 60, then my total variable cost will be 60. That is 3 times 20 here. Now what will be my total cost? This is 110 because 50 plus 60. So that one here I will have 210 as my total cost. Then if you divide this by 50, we have 10 here. Then if you divide this one by this one, I think we have 25 here. So this is how you fill this table. Then after total cost is total cost divided by output. Total cost here is 80, output is 2, then I have 40 here. Here total cost is 510 and 210, and I have 50. I think I have around 42 or so, 42. Then here I have marginal cost. That's the last column. The last column is marginal cost, that is changes in total cost over change in quantity produced. However, take note here, our total cost is only increasing by 1. If it's by 2, it will be another story. But yes, it's increasing by 1. We can manage and move on without much stress. Now the total cost column is here. It moved from 50 to 10 to 60. We have 10. Then it moved from 60 to 80. Then we have 30. Then it also moved from 80 to 110, we have 30. We moved from 110 to 150, we are going to have 40. It also moved from 150 to 210, I think we have 60 or so. So this is just an example. We are going to see a more practical example as we move on. And I would like you to pause and try to look at these multiple choice questions. I have 4 of them. And then from there we move to this final stage. The next item is to look at a more example of what we have just done. Now this question is from May-June 2011, question number 2, section A. Actually, we've modified this question to accommodate what we have done so far. Now the first question the examiner asks us to do is to determine the fixed cost of and explain your answer. This question is about 3 marks or so. This is bonus mark. Remember, we say total cost here. Total cost is 150. Total variable cost is 0. Well, what is fixed cost? So number A, the fixed cost is 150. And why? Because at the point where variable cost is equal to 0, the total cost is equal to fixed cost. This is your full marks. You get your full marks. Then the B aspect is determine the value of R and S and T. These are missing point here. You know, S is, this one is 150 fixed cost. Then if you calculate S now, S will now be equal to 110 plus 150, which is going to be 260. Then R is total variable cost. So if the total cost, for example, is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost, and we already have the total cost to be 366. We don't know variable cost, it's not known. Then our fixed cost is 150, but the one should be our variable cost. So we just to have our 360 here minus 150. I have 6, I have 1, then I have 2. So here will be 216. So this is S. Therefore R is marginal cost changes over this. So from 260 to 320, I think we also have 60. So this is your full mark. You get your full marks, then you continue from there. Now similarly, you can also try the next question. It's also from May, June 2010, question number 2. Also, it's more or less the same thing with what we have had. If you look at what the examiner just did here, we have to calculate what is fixed cost. The fixed cost here is also very simple. You can see at the point where your quantity is 0, total cost is equal to fixed cost. I think you can take it up from that particular point also. And also in November exam 2011, also the examiner also asked the similar question. Please take note of that. I told you it's always a bonus mark. So what is average fixed cost? Your average fixed cost, please, we have no column for average fixed cost. But when you look at the total variable cost, we have total cost, average cost, marginal cost. Then we have to calculate average fixed cost. So what's our fixed cost first? So our fixed cost here can be derived in the first item. When this one is 0, total cost is equal to fixed cost. So fixed cost is constant. So what are the average fixed costs for each unit? It's just for you to look at point 0, average fixed cost is dash. As quantity, when its quantity is equal to 1, average fixed cost is 100. Then when it's 2, it's 50. Then you calculate and you get your point. Then calculate average fixed cost. Okay, you calculate what is an average fixed cost. I think they just want us to define in here. An average fixed cost, you should draw. Oh my God, this is a very simple question. What is average fixed cost? Average fixed cost is total fixed cost divided by quantity. Then the B part is to calculate average fixed cost at 1 to 6. Then you can calculate it by putting formula. Calculate value of Q, R, and S, and what is average fixed cost decline. Why does average fixed cost decline? Why does average fixed cost decline as output increase? Because I've told you before, it will decline continuously because it remains constant. The total fixed cost remains constant and the output increases, then it will decline. That is the answer to this question. You can also sit down, listen to the previous slide, and be able to answer this particular question. Our next topic will be on the kind of looking at the difference between economics and accounting point of view regarding the cost, and be able to explain the concept of short run and the long run cost. We will give you more of this as we move ahead. We also like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share our video with your colleagues. Thank you.